We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, to establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks to all members of Congress and Homeland Security Secretary. I'm not sure going to understand. Security Secretary. I'm not sure going to understand. Congress and Homeland Security Secretary. I'm not sure going to understand. Thanks to all members of Congress and Homeland Security.
What in the hell? What in the hell did he say? That's the president. That's the president this afternoon talking. And man, they stand behind. Look, here's the thing. They're standing behind him right now. That is not the case. They are not going to be standing behind him after what the debates are. Is it next Monday? This coming Monday, right? Or is it next Monday? Looks, it's this coming Monday. So this coming Monday, we get the debates. Rev, there's no way that he makes it out of this first debate here with Trump. It could be on his playing terms with CNN, with fake Tapper, and whoever else it is. But you look at footage like this, and then so at the same time, Karine Jean-Pierre gets up there yesterday and says everything that you're seeing, don't trust your own eyes. Don't trust your eyes. It's all being manipulated. I don't want to go too crazy right off the bat here.
It's all cheap fakes. You just made it all up. It's the end of the world, and we're all going to die because AI said so.
What do you think of this?
Look, the reality is, here's the reality. When you see something once, okay, maybe. Twice, like, okay, we got to question that. Maybe not. But we're looking. 1,000 times later, I'm sorry, you can't convince me it's not real.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at with this whole thing too. It's like, they look at, oh, he's an elderly man. Of course he's going to mess up sometimes. And okay, whatever. We all mess up. We do live streams all the time. I mean, I mess up. I blub my words, but it's not every single night.
Well, and you're not president
10 times a night, right? I mean, there's a difference. This
And
guy,
you're not-
every time he gets on a microphone, it's a good day for conservatives.
Well, here's the reality, because I think we need to face the real truth of this. And we all talk about it, but it's not a main talking point that I think it needs to be. Is the fact of the matter is that we've known right from the beginning that Biden is a scapegoat. Yeah, he's a piece of trash. He's a pedophile. He's a traitor. All of those things. I'm not denying any of that. He is absolutely all of that. The one thing he's not is in charge or in control. You see, he's the one. They want to destroy the nation, but they want his name to be signed on it. And what everybody needs to wake up to is it doesn't matter who they put at the forefront. The Democrat terrorist network is still the Democrat terrorist network. They're all a bunch of sold out globalist prostitutes that have sold their buttholes to the, to the World Economic Forum, to that group. That's what we're talking about here. And this is reality. Whether anybody, because there's some people that still think this is all, conspiracy theories. Like, no, bro, they've told us exactly what they're doing. They bragged about what they're doing.
Well, I think that they needed a weak leader like Biden in there in order to pull all of this off. Rev, I want to show you this clip of Joe Biden from the early 90s. I think it's 1992, because Biden wasn't always this way. I mean, he was.
Wait. I have to ask, which Biden are you going to show me?
Yeah, the original Joe Biden, Joe Biden, which, let's be honest, like, he was a rough and tough Democrat. Was he smart and intellectual? No, we get the plagiarizing and all these things.
They used him and manipulated him back then too. Yeah, and just for the record, before you go on, I want to point out to everybody, because there's some of you out there who are political nerds, like we are, and you've seen the Ronald Reagan speech, A Time to Choose, right? That's what they call the speech, A Time to Choose. And he talks about the Democrat Party being taken over by Marxists and low IQ retards. He doesn't say low IQ retards, but we know. I want you guys to understand that Joe Biden was there. He's one of the ones that Reagan was referring to. Pelosi, Schumer were there. Those are the people that Reagan was specifically referring to. So just so you understand, I mean, that's how far back this goes. And it's been the same group of people that are now, they're on death's door and they're desperate and everything's failing. So now this is going to get crazier before it gets better.
There's no doubt about that. All right, check this clip out here.
Remember, it's the whole party. It's not just one person.
That's true, of course. All right, here, let's watch this, because I think it adds some good context in regards to the difference between what we're seeing now and then. Obviously, it's 30 years ago, but.
Senator Biden.
How are you?
Skip Lumberg from the 90s.
Hey, Skip, how are you? Nice to see you. How you doing?
Good. So are you sorry you weren't up there yourself? Or you?
I couldn't have done as well as Clinton by a long shot. He did a first-rate job tonight. I think if someone had had amnesia the last 4 years and came back and tuned this in, they'd assume it was a two-person race, Clinton and Perot. I mean, I was dumbfounded. The president, he wasn't even in it. I mean, he didn't get it. Doesn't understand. I don't know what's going on.
What's the big difference?
The fundamental difference is you got a guy who still is stuck in the past in everything. I mean, what skills he had as a leader in the Cold War are irrelevant. Here's a guy saying keep 150,000 troops in Europe, but don't go near Bosnia. Well, what the hell are they there for? I mean, there's no Soviet Union. There's no threat. I happen to believe we should keep troops in Europe. I think 100,000 is more than enough for pre-positioning purposes. But, I mean, he has no clue. And I thought the best one was trying to convince American people it's not an economic problem.
Yeah,
right. Oh, that was good. Rich. That was real good. I like that.
We got to go.
So,
So I play this footage here kind of just to show you, like, your question is really relevant too. Well, which Biden are you going to show me? That ain't the same. That ain't the same guy. I mean, and if it is the same guy, here's the deal, that ain't the same guy. But if you want to believe it is the same guy, then when comparing the man that we started the stream with to the man that we just played, you're going to tell me now, at this point in that man's life, now was the time to make him president of the United States?
Oh, yeah.
In his senile age? I mean, he didn't sound phenomenal there either. But I mean, look at the difference. There's complete sentences. He's a human. Right now, we have a walking corpse as our commander.
He has always been the scapegoat of the left. He's always been somebody that they can manipulate. They keep him holding a position. They all, backstop him so he holds a position, but he'll vote for whatever they tell him to vote for. He'll do whatever they tell him to do. I mean, this guy is astoundingly out to lunch. Has always been. He's never had an original thought of his own. He's just repeating what he was told to repeat. And that's why they love him. They don't, just like they say to us, they don't want thinkers. They want workers. They want people will do what they say to do. They don't want anybody. It's the same thing with the whole party. That's why they cater themselves to these low information, low education, like the college kids. And it's not that these college kids are dumb, but they don't have the experience of life, and they have all of this emotion and outrage about the things that they're told, because they don't think, oh my God, I should probably go look that up. They don't consider that someone would lie to them so outrageously. But that's the reason they cater to these kids, why they try to use the college kids, is because they're so easily manipulated.
Oops. Yep. I was muted. Sorry about that. But no, you are right. The college kids are an easy target.
Right.
They're an easy target. And it gets back to, like, when you talk about the LGBTQ, especially when it comes to this trans thing right now, these are people who can't reproduce. They're probably not going to, in regards to the trans, not the gay community, but a lot of these crazy extreme transgenders, they're probably not going to have an opportunity to even adopt, right? Gays, they adopt. We see that all the time. But these crazy extreme trans, they're miserable people. They can't reproduce, so they're forced to recruit. And one of the target markets in the recruitment is the collegiate level. Why?
So,
yeah,
here's the thing, is that people who tend to be overly emotional don't tend to be critical thinkers. People that are overly emotional react emotionally, and that's what they want. They want people that, because you can manipulate someone's emotions. You can tell someone what to be angry about, as long as you can keep them from thinking clearly, from applying critical thought and deduction, actual problem solving skills, things like that. If they can keep that out of the equation, which is what they're working towards. That's what the media is trying to program us towards, is what they call this critical factor bypass, where they want you reacting to everything emotionally. And they're trying to do it to everybody on both sides of the fence. And this is something I've been preaching about for a while, is I'm trying to remind everybody on our side of the fence. It's like, yeah, you might have, the moral high ground on this issue, but if you're still reacting to it with this giant emotional reaction, then they're still winning, because that's what they want. They want to take us away from critical thought. And we have to keep ourselves calm, because overly emotional people have a chaotic mind. Their mind's all over the place. If we keep ourselves calm and we actually cogitate all of the issues before us, then we're gonna see, the truth of everything, and what the smart answer is, and go with it. That's all we need to do.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's talk about some libtards for a second. Check out this. Look at this guy, Chuck Schumer. So here's what happened in my mind. So in my mind, Chuck Schumer, he went over to his wife. He said, "Honey, they're calling me a Marxist. They keep calling me a Marxist. They're calling me a communist. What can I do? I need to show some patriotism, honey. And she says back to him, or is he gay? I don't know. I mean, with the glasses, look, I don't know.
I
I'm
don't
just
even
asking.
think his thoughts were that deep. I think he just thought.
But Rev, no, he's like, they're calling me a Marxist. She goes, why don't you take a picture for social media of yourself grilling some burgers and some hot dogs? Nothing more American than that. And he says, great idea. Well, swing and a miss, Chuck. Swing and a miss. That's a raw burger. In fact,
Because
let's show you a guy.
knows-
Hey,
Yeah.
here you go, Chuck.
Everybody knows you don't put cheese on a raw burger. You put the cheese on when it's done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's common sense, but obviously, Chuck
Well, I
Schumer
mean-
is probably not cooking too many burgers. He's,
Leftists are
in my
offended
opinion,
by
it's a
common sense.
grasp. It's a grasp at trying to be relatable, trying to show
exactly.
Americans. Yeah.
It's like Hillary Clinton going into the black community and be like, oh yeah, I always got hot sauce in my purse. No, bitch, you don't. You do not have hot sauce in your purse.
Yeah. Yeah. That and like
But I
adobo
do.
seasoning.
I keep the Cholula on hand.
Yeah, that
This
was
is
funny.
the best stuff ever, by the way. I'm not paid by Cholula. I just love this hot sauce. This is good stuff. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So this is kind of nuts too, dude. Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry, he signs an election integrity bill to require voters to provide proof of citizenship with their voter registration application. So my question to you would then be, previous to this being signed, when an individual went to go register to vote, are you telling me that they didn't have to prove their citizenship? The person at the front desk wasn't required to ask for an ID? So there was a loophole out there where I could have gone in Louisiana and said, hey, I want to vote. I need to get registered to vote. And they could have said, well, do you have an ID, sir? And I would have said, no, I don't. I don't need one here. And they would have said, yeah, you're right. Here you go. Here's your paperwork. Now, obviously, that's a different story. But wait, is that seriously how it went?
I gotta be honest with you. I don't understand any of it because I live in Florida and we have IDs. This was never an issue. You show your ID to get a tattoo. You have to show your ID to get your ears pierced. You have to show your ID to do any number of things. Voting is, I don't know, maybe I hate to sound arrogant, but maybe people in Florida are a little smarter than the rest of the world. So this was never really a big issue for us. It's like, oh, we need an ID to vote. Okay, here you go.
It's just wild. It's just wild that that's their approach,
right?
Where now we have to actually pass these bills to prevent illegals from voting. I mean, what kind of country allows illegal citizens to come over illegally? And on top of that, that's bad enough. But on top of that, now, hey, you can help dictate the future of this country also. And then, but wait, what's the wildest part of all this is we have to write a bill to say, no, that's not okay. Have we gone that far off of the path of common sense that this is now what we have to do?
We have gone so far off the path of common sense that we're now doing things that our forefathers would never have suspected. Our forefathers, when they wrote the Constitution, and they covered a lot. I mean, if you really study the Constitution for the United States of America, if you really study it and think things out and understand, the issues of the human condition and how fallible we really are, you realize that there's some real wisdom and intelligence behind that document. But they never figured that we would go full retard, like just completely off the deep end dumb. Like there's some things that like even they thought, nobody would be that stupid. Could they? They couldn't really be that stupid. We don't need to cover that because nobody would really be that friggin' retarded. But yet here we are. The Democrat Party has lowered the bar and then lowered the bar and then lowered the bar and then lowered the bar to now we're to the point. If you want to play limbo with the Democrats bar, you're going to have to dig to China to get under the damn thing. That's how
Low.
friggin' low.
I mean,
it
right
is.
now they're telling us not to even believe what we're seeing. Like, hey, don't trust your eyes.
Oh, yeah. Don't believe your own eyes. Don't believe your own ears. And oh, my God, don't ever do any homework or research. We don't want you doing that. We don't want you to learn about the racist history of the Democrat Party or that it's still the same people doing the same racist shit. Don't learn that either.
You're right.
It's all
100%.
lies.
And as our country is in a societal sense burning at the wheel, I mean, this country is on fire in a societal sense. We have an administration that is spending this month, pretty much taking the month off, celebrating Pride. Kim Jong-un and Putin, though, no, they're not taking any time off. They're meeting.
No.
They're getting together, and they're chatting about what? Oh, I don't know. Let's read this post here. Just in, Russian President Vladimir Putin arrives in North Korea for a summit with Kim Jong-un. This is the first time that Russian president has visited North Korea since 2000. It's 24 years ago from Colin Rugg. Putin is planning on signing agreements with Kim Jong-un to deepen a relationship between the two countries. This move comes as Russia and North Korea continue to strengthen their relationship as Russia continues with their invasion of Ukraine. According to U.S. officials, North Korea has supplied dozens of ballistic missiles to Russia, along with 11,000 containers of munitions. So, Rev, like, I don't want to get crazy, but, does this scare you? Does this scare you? I mean, frankly, it should scare any American when you have two nuclear, I don't know, enemies, but the friend of my enemy or the friend of my friend is my enemy, right? What's that saying? I don't know how the saying.
I think, well, I mean, here's the thing about it. I think it's actually a fantastic thing that Putin.
Why would you say that?
Because Kim Jong-un on his own is a wild card.
Sure.
But here's the thing is one thing that Putin has learned is that communist countries can only stay communist as long as somebody's subsidizing, the economy that they've destroyed. You see, China only works because we've been pumping American money into China.
We're so dependent on them for manufacturing that.
Well, I know, but that's the reason that China has managed to stay communist, because on their own they collapse.
100%. Yep.
It's the same thing, and I want you to just follow with me for a minute.
I'm with
All right, so North Korea is the same way. Every communist regime, every feudalist regime still requires subsidization to work, particularly when they destroy their own workforce, when they destroy their own population. Most people don't understand this. Kim Jong-un, and specifically his father, actually starved the majority of the population to death when they weren't getting money from everywhere else. They literally starved almost 90% of the population. North Korea does not have near the number of citizens as a lot of people would think they do. And it's because of that. But here's the thing about it is that Kim Jong-un by himself is a wild card. The guy is a beast. He's basically like a child, like an emotionally unstable child with his hands
beast
on
in a bad way.
But here's the thing, and this is what I want you to understand is that if his obligation is to Putin because of the financial support that he needs and the trade that he needs to get around U.S. sanctions, then Putin's going to have his ear and therefore influence the same way that Trump was working with him to have influence. That was the whole point of that. Well, everybody's, trash talking Trump and ridiculing him and everything else. The guy was astoundingly smart. You don't trash talk the guy you're trying to control and expect to be able to control him at the same time. You have to speak nice to him. You have to be diplomatic. You have to try to get what you can get out of him through those conversations, through some efforts in between. And that's what Putin is doing. Putin is really picking up where Trump left off and helping keep this wild card settled. And I know a lot of people aren't going to understand that, but that's the truth of it. And here's the thing about it is, even Putin has said, he said, look, I'm going to tell you why I don't want nuclear war by telling you that if you bring nuclear war, I'll burn the entire planet down. He's giving everybody a reason to not go there, because he's told everybody, if I hit the button, all of my missiles launch at once and they go to everybody. It's not just who sends a missile at me. It's every NATO nation is going to get all of my missiles together. They're all getting it. That's what he said. So the smart answer to that is just don't go there. And that's his point, because everything he said over and over again is, hey, I'm dealing with Ukraine because this is an issue on my border. And as he sees it, it's a humanitarian issue. And it doesn't really matter if we agree or not, because Ukraine was never a NATO nation. It was never a contracted nation with the United States. We, aside from Joe Biden's and the Democrat terrorist networks, corruptions going on in Ukraine, we have no business there whatsoever. We should never have been in Ukraine in the begin with. That place should have been off limits.
The only reason that we're in Ukraine is because there were a select number of people who had financial interests in the country.
Right.
And they somehow got everybody else to, it's a sales pitch, brother. It's a sales pitch.
But the point is that Putin's not trying to take over the world. He's not, and he's not doing, like Hitler. And the Democrats
loved Hitler. Can you be?
But they keep telling us the story that, Putin's going to do this and Putin's going to do that. And that's absolutely contrary to everything he stated. And Putin has the power. He can come out and say, you know what? F you. I'm going to do this. If you pick a fight with me, I'll blow your ass up. They have.
So why do you think, though, that if that is the case, and I'm not sitting here like, but I'm just to play devil's advocate. If that's the case, then why have they been dragging their feet through this Ukraine thing? What's the need to stall it out? Why not just blow the country off the map, or just go into Kyiv and take what you want and take over the capital?
That's the point. That's the whole point is that Putin. So you have to understand. Okay, so Ukraine is actually made up of three cultural identities. Okay, so you got the Nazis, and you got the cultural Russians, and then the other group was I'm having a brain fart. I think Hungarian or something like that.
I don't know. I'm not too sure about that. I'm waiting to see where you're going.
But I know it was three groups. I'm just having a hard time remembering exactly which three groups. But the point is that the Nazis, who are the ones in control, the Azov army, Zelensky, all of them, they're all Nazis. So they're actually killing and murdering cultural Russians. Putin came in as a humanitarian interest. That's the whole thing. Like most people don't understand that Crimea actually voted to rejoin Russia and leave Ukraine. And of course our media presented it like, oh my God, they invaded. It's like, no, they're tired of having their own government shoot artillery at them and drop bombs on them. And that's what all of this has been about, because the real truth is that Putin had no interest in taking Ukraine. He had an interest in stopping the garbage going on in Ukraine. And you could tell that quite simply by how he's treated the whole situation, because like you said, Putin could have steamrolled Ukraine at any time. I mean, if Putin just wanted to take Ukraine, he could have steamrolled Ukraine.
Could take it.
He would have, I would say, if he organized and mobilized, the Spetsnaz and, his infantry, stuff like that. If he did that, literally, I would say 3 days or less, he would have completely owned Ukraine and we would have never been able to do anything about it. It would be over before we even had a chance to get a boat across the water. And it's a done deal if that was his intention. But the fact that he's been so light-handed and so surgical with what he's doing shows exactly the opposite. He's not trying to just take it.
I could see your point. I don't know. I wonder how much. I don't think we have a clear picture of what's going on in Ukraine. But Ukraine, honestly, I've talked about Ukraine so much in the past 2 years. So have you. It bores the shit out of me. I can't even go down the topic anymore. I want to bring you on to something that's fucking. I've been trying not to curse. I want to bring you on to something that is absolutely insane in regards to Trump derangement syndrome. This is Taral Patel, who's running for county commissioner in Texas. He posted the screenshot of a college of hate mail that he received, a collage of hate mail that he received, which he attributed to Trump. He was just arrested and charged with a felony for creating fake accounts and sending himself the fake hate mail. Guys, we have gotten to a point where it is so bad. They're literally pretending so much racism. Here's Libs TikTok. So much racism in America. He literally had to create his own. That's from Libs of TikTok. So much racism in America. They're creating it. It's like the Jussie Smollett case. You remember Jussie Smollett, who said that he had the race crime and it ended up. He hired the guys. This is like that all over again, but I'm not surprised. And it's not a racist thing. It's look, when you look at the people that are in the conservative party, the stereotype that you thought existed 4 years ago is just an inaccurate stereotype. A bunch of racists with packed lips in the woods shooting guns. No. Today, conservatives, Republicans simply just want prosperity and less government intervention. Let us live, please. Okay? We don't stay over there, government. Don't need you. All right? We're not in the woods with guns. I mean, some of us are, and we love doing that. But the stereotype that they made you think of when it became MAGA Republicans, when it came to MAGA Republicans, that was the stereotype. Oh, they're in the woods. They're training. They're shooting. They're riding ATVs. No. We're intellectual people, young people, business people. MAGA Republicans are 70% of the country.
Oh, yeah.
And then you look at stuff like this, and they're reaching so far. Again, Karine Jean-Pierre tells you, no, we know that you see Biden trip and fall, but you're not really seeing that. And then you have this, the racists are coming after me. The racists are coming after me. Come to find out, he's sending himself the hate mail. Rev, make it make sense for me, please.
So it's just like Smollett and everybody else. It's, the world's so racist that we have to make it up. We can't point out real issues of racism unless we make it up first. You know, and I'll give you an example, and this one still astounds me that most people don't even think about this. Do you remember here in Florida, we had the group of Nazis were hanging out on the bridge in Orlando, Florida, in Altamont Springs?
Laura Loomer called them out.
Right. Laura Loomer nailed him to the wall. But here's the thing about
Rev,
it.
Go ahead and take a second and do this. I'm going to be right back. I'm just going to take 60
All right,
seconds.
I got you, buddy. Yep. So here's the thing about it. Okay. So the guy that was the ringleader, the guy with all the tattoos on his face, he was actually a Ukrainian Nazi, like the real thing. But he was also an agent of the CIA, like, I don't know, as an informant, confidential informant, something like that. But he operated on behalf of the Central Instigation Agency. And then they showed these other couple guys, like the guy with the red shirt and the vest and everything, and the goatee, Mr. Cool Guy, is actually a paid actor. Like a bunch of these guys were paid actors. And then it goes even further. And you could go back to Laura Loomer's posts on all of these and research all of this. All of these people were hired by the ADL. They were actors performing on behalf of the ADL. The Anti-Defamation League is now hiring actors to portray racists so that they could claim racism. Oh my God, look how bad our racism is. We have them flying flags on bridges and everything. It's so terrible. And I guarantee you, those other that group of losers, and this is how you know that this is more, black flag, black swan, whatever you want to call it, garbage. Patriot Front. How are they going to have all of these guys on their knees with their hands behind their backs, ostensibly handcuffed, and yet they're all still wearing their hats, they're all still wearing their masks, they all still have all their gear on them, everything else? I don't know I have a lot of friends in law enforcement, and everybody that I know, everybody that I have watched these videos with that works in law enforcement has said the same things that I thought, that we would never detain someone and allow them to keep their gear or to keep their masks on. I mean, the very first thing, as soon as you detain someone, you have to identify them. And if they have no ID on them, then you have to go by their face, by their facial recognition. You have to ID them. You have to thumbprint them, things like that. Most people don't realize this, but a majority of law enforcement carry a little black box with them that's connected to a main server, and they can walk up and make you stick your thumb on it, and you're getting identified. But see, they weren't doing that. They show all these pictures of these people, in these positions and everything else, but the whole thing is a show. It's all for show, because in reality, none of this would happen. These people wouldn't still have, things attached to their belts and all their gear on them, their hats, their masks, their glasses, all of that, because any bit of that could be considered a danger. The first things the cops do is take away any dangerous items if they detain you. If you have handcuffs on, you're getting your pocket searched.
Yeah. On kind of on the same note here, just in regards to the justice system. So you have this breaking news. Here's from Leading Report. The FBI knew in 2016 of Hunter Biden's $120 million investment deal with Burisma while Joe Biden was still vice president, yet they quietly closed their investigation into Hunter, according to recently obtained emails. Here are the emails. I mean, we have the proof. This whole thing has been a sham for 10 years. The people are finally finding out.
Yeah.
They're tired. They're tired of being used as political pawns. Race groups all over the country, the Hispanics, the Black community, Democrat Party, people are walking away from them in waves. And they've earned that. The Democrat Party has earned people to walk away from them due to the lackluster mentality, due to forcing ideologies that don't align with the American people, and quite simply getting caught with corruption. And then they try to politicize the justice system and point the finger back onto Trump. Yet you look at Bob Menendez and what he did with the gold bars. Oh my God. You look at what's his name? What was his name? Jerome or the congressman that pulled the fire alarm, Bowman, Congressman Bowman. I mean, it's like you look at what they're doing, and these are real crimes. But it's no problem. It's no problem. It will be a problem. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
When Trump gets back in office, this administration that he puts in there is going to be a kick-ass administration. I mean, you're going to see a lot of really good people in there. You'll see Ben Carson in there. You'll see Vivek Ramaswamy in there. Who knows who else you'll see in there? But you will have a lot of really good people.
Whoa, hold on. I got to interrupt because I've been thinking about this for a while. I saw somebody else post it.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, that is a friggin' amazing idea. We need to get behind that. So,
yeah.
What's Trump's attorney's name?
Alina Habba?
Yeah. Bro,
yeah.
Department of
Oh, yeah. I mean, dude, there's
Let
there's
her run
so
the
many
show
different ways.
and
There's
give her carte blanche on hiring and firing. You don't need a reason. If you think somebody needs to go, if somebody brings you coffee that wasn't made right, boot their asses out.
yeah.
Whatever
Well,
reason you decide.
I
That is
and I
one
wonder
smart
what
cookie
role
right there.
I wonder what role Ramaswamy is going to play in this whole thing as well. I don't think it'll be VP. I do hear rumblings of Byron Donalds getting a lot closer to potentially being picked, but he people are still ruling that out now.
See, I like all of those people, but I still think from at least from a functionality, if you step past the votes, because we're all going to vote for Trump no matter who he picks. Let's be real about that. So it's not like he's going to garner new votes.
Well, that's because
Anyway.
the other option just leaves us with sex offenders coming in. These are all 68 convicted. Just a side note, 68 convicted sex offenders arrested at the border. 68
Right.
convicted sex offenders. So we have to vote for Trump. But go on. I didn't mean to cut you off.
But I think that somebody who understands the housing market, understands housing, understands the basics of family housing and how that affects our family, economics, you got a 2-income home that can barely afford things like that. He understands all of this. Somebody that understands how the overall real estate housing market affects the overall economy and how to keep a nation stabilized based on that. And a lot of people don't understand how big that really is and how much of that is interactive with everything else that we do. But I think the one guy who really knows his doo-doo on all of it is also the one guy that's entirely too polite on the microphone, Dr. Ben Carson. I think he's the guy to get the job done. I think he's the guy that would still be able to carry on behind Trump. He's just not a punch thrower like Trump is. That's the only other distinction. Somebody would have to coach him and say, okay, Ben, we gotta do something to get you angry because we never see you angry. We need angry.
I don't think. Yeah, I mean, you need to have fire in the belly. I don't think Ben Carson is going to be a
But
good.
well, as a politician, no. But as somebody who understands how to get everything done and what really works,
Surely. Yeah, no doubt about it. You got to have somebody though in that VP spot at this point in time with the unknowns. Trump has to choose his VP based off of the election. Like who's going to get him votes? He can't do what's going to you can't pick your VP under the mindset that you're just going to win regardless. Although I think that's the case. I really do. I don't think it's smart to pick your VP on that notion. I think the VP pick has to be focused on yes, somebody that could definitely do the job, but who's going to get me votes?
A lot of what Trump did for the black community with housing, with the First Step Act, all of that he did with Ben Carson as well. So I don't know. It's depending on how you look at it, who would be best. And you know what? It's a crapshoot because
I'm telling you, man, Byron.
Right.
The Rev, just a little sneak drop, bro. So Byron is my representative in my district here at Fort Myers.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to run. I would have run this year.
I actually talked to that's a big dude too, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I would have run, and I didn't run this year because there's no point in running against him. But if he goes and he's selected for VP in 2026, Rev, I'm not going to say for sure right here live, but there's a good chance that I do that.
I would get behind you if you do. But I spoke to him a little bit. I like him. He's a strong figure, everything else.
Do you think he could lead the country one day? Did you get that opinion? Or that?
The issue that I have is that he's fairly new on the scene. He doesn't have, I mean, if your argument, if we're going to pick someone that's going to get votes, well, he's a conservative asset. How are we going to get any more votes than we already have with him? And then the other question is,
Yo,
is
that's
that,
it is a good point. It's a
and
good
yeah,
point.
and the other question is does he have the understanding that we're going to need? Because understand this, and this is what my concern is with where Trump puts everybody and who he puts, is that everybody thinks the big fight is getting Trump into office. And I truly believe that the big fight is going to be once Trump is in office. I believe that all the children are going to throw fits and have temper tantrums. And that's when it's game time, because that's the point that all of these deep state actors, these Democrat terrorist network operatives, and I mean that wholeheartedly, Democrat terrorists, all of these people are terrorists. They're taking money on behalf of an enemy of the United States of America and operating as such. And I'll give them no more kindness than that. But the reality is that they're going to come unglued. They're going to think that it's time to have temper tantrums like 2020. They're going to try to have temper tantrums. They're going to try to burn down communities and everything else. Only this time around, I'm hoping that all the right people are in the right places, that we own, that we control the Senate and that we control Congress, and that we can go ahead and lay down the law and get this right.
100%. And I want to add on to your point, though, about I'm not sure if he has the understanding, Byron, or even if we're just talking in general, not about Byron, but whoever the pick is, do they have the understanding and the experience to be in that position? I'll tell you why I'm not too worried about that, because there's understanding and common sense. I think that a lot of the decision making at that level of VP and president comes down to common sense. You're not writing the legislation yourself. If we have a candidate, though, that is always America first, and we trust that, and we know that, and we trust that their common sense is solid, it's a fundamentally sound person in there. I mean, he could be black, white, doesn't matter. Throw them in there, because common sense will rule anything else. I don't need a Harvard grad. I need a guy who's going to put America first.
I don't think it's going to be Byron any more than it's going to be Rubio.
I don't think it'll be Byron either. I want it to be, but
well, here's the thing, though, is there's also a clause that the P and the VP can't both be from the same state.
Yeah, I know. I've heard of that.
Right. So if it was one of them, then they would have to move to another state, which means that they would have to leave their districts and everything else.
I heard they could get around that, though. I heard there was a way for them to get around.
I mean, we could just do like the Democrats and just not care about rules anyway. We'll just make shit up as we go, but that's not who we really are. But here's the thing is that whoever he picks, it's got to be somebody that has the backbone to get the job done and has the understanding that can't be led astray. Because one of the things that we saw in the first of this is I think that Donald John Trump, for all of his wisdom, for all of his intelligence, and he's a smart man, he's a super smart man, I don't think even he was prepared for how deep the swamp really is and how much he would get led astray. He put entirely too much trust, because Trump has been able to, through the Trump Corporation, he's hired people that have been there for the right reasons. So he's been able to lean on him. He's been able to trust his team. And then he gets into government where he's used to trusting his team. Now he's got a bunch of people who are, backstabbing him and two-facing him and the whole bit. And I don't think he was prepared for that. And I think this time around, he's more prepared. Now he understands better than ever, but he's also got to pick people who can withstand that, because if we're going to clean out the swamp, we can't be hiring swamp creatures. And that's the biggest thing. So it's really a small list. And it's not just hiring swamp creatures or not hiring swamp creatures. It's also, we can't have people that can be affected or turned or lied to by the said swamp creatures.
I agree. So what do you think that the July surprise is going to be? Be ready for a July surprise. Very possible they pull Biden, sentence Trump. The entire race could change. I mean, the entire race from Charlie Kirk. He's right. What happens if they pull Biden, they sentence Trump, and mid to end July, we're looking at inside 3 months to go, a totally different presidential race than the Joe Biden, Donald Trump race we thought we were going to get. I mean,
If they put Trump in jail, let's be clear about this. Even if they put Trump in jail, it's still Trump.
yeah. I mean, he could win from jail.
Nikki can try to run if she wants. She can try to come back out or whatever. But I mean, her dog wasn't hunting to begin with.
Right.
And that's another one too, by the way. Have you noticed how much Tucker Carlson has been hanging out with Trump lately? Because Easy Money just brought that up, and I thought of that too. And I got to be honest with you. Tucker Carlson, I love that he's humble. When he's asked about stuff like this, like he's really humble about it. But the fact of the matter is one, this guy is dialed in. Two, this guy understands foreign relations and foreign policy better than any politician I've ever met or heard of or listened to. And he's got the backbone. I mean, he's gone face to face with the media, everything else. This guy has proven himself. He's been vetted.
World leaders. I agree.
Yeah.
I think that I do think that there's a lot of value to that potential possibility. I don't believe that we're going to see that happen this time around, but I think in the future we will. I do think in the future we will, and I'd like to see it. I think Tucker's great. And to your point, he's been face to face and had some of the hardest conversations with the most powerful people in the globe. Don't you think that's the type of guy with the credibility to run a country? Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
All right, let's start to close this thing up here, Rev. Where are you going to? You're going to another podcast after this.
Yeah,
right?
So when I'm done here, boys and girls, if you're already hanging out in my chats, then just hang around a little bit, because as soon as we wind up, I'm going to do a quick stream reset, and then I am going to be on, and he's in my chats right now. I have got one of the great ones, one of the most magnificent streamers that you will ever listen to, Pete the Patriot at PTP Podcast, and I get to join him in exactly a half an hour. Exactly half an hour. That's right, boys and girls. Now, make sure you stay hanging out. And if you're not already hanging out, like those of you that are over there with Chris right now on his streams, jump on over and join the stream, because you're going to watch some good conversations, a lot of good people, a lot of good family to hang around, and a good time while we talk about all of the things that are important to us in this world, including the idea that we are all family, that we stand together. So that's where I'm going to be. That's what I'm going to be doing. Come check it out.
Go check it out for sure, guys. Watch Rev over on the Pete the Patriot podcast. Should be a good time. I usually tune into as much of it as I can as I'm doing some work after these shows. But that's it. Rev's exactly right, guys. The best way to support each other and your fellow patriots is to just share the content, share the stream, like it, repost it, send it in some group chats, whatever you got to do. But we always appreciate that, and we appreciate everybody who tunes in with us on X, Rumble, Pilled, wherever you're watching. We really do appreciate you tuning in with us, right, Rev?
Definitely.
Rev sending a message.
Definitely do.
Cool. All right, guys, we will catch you. I'll be live tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live with Chris's World. We're kind of slowly changing the format of Live with Chris's World. If you were in the show last night, you know what I'm talking about, but you'll want to be tuned in. We got a lot of new things coming. We're kind of changing the format and the structure of how we do things. So tune into Live with Chris's World tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Oh, actually, I might have to drop a new time for the show, because I'll be on Melissa's show tomorrow night at 8 p.m. So I think that I'll be going live around 9. Stay on standby for a tweet. I'll keep you updated.
Right on.
Rev.
Don't try this at home, kids. We're not trained professionals. We just play one on TV.
Yes, that's correct. Here, I got to let me real quick. BPO. Let me pull up your exit video here. I didn't have it up. All right, folks. We'll catch you next time on The Flip. Peace.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, to establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.